Manzambi. Good surge this. Johan Manzambi still goes. And it's in! And again they should have got it away. And enjoy!
They're looking like they're here for business. They're not just looking like they want to take part. They're a strong side.
Switzerland are way better than most people give them credit for. Mazraoui. Good surge this. Johan Mazraoui still goes. And it's in. And again, they should have got it away. And it's joy. A lot of people wrote Switzerland off after their opening match against Qatar. Even though they controlled most of the game, they wasted several big chances before giving up a heartbreaking late goal. That draw felt like 2 huge points thrown away against the team that looked like the weakest side in the group. But after that...
Not really. I don't think a big surprise. They're a side that always generally gets to the knockout stages. And with their organisation, and of course the early goal from Embolo, then they set themselves off on a good footing, and we're never really in trouble. So yeah, I'm not a surprise Switzerland have gone through.
Everything started to click. Switzerland raised their level in a big way. They crushed Bosnia and Herzegovina 4-1 with a confident display, then followed it up by beating Canada to finish on top of their group. Their momentum didn't stop there either. In the round of 32, they comfortably took care of Algeria, showing just how organised, disciplined and dangerous they can be when everything comes together. This isn't a team that relies on luck. Switzerland have built a reputation for being tough to break down while staying dangerous going forward. Just look at their World Cup qualifying campaign. They finished unbeaten in Group B with 14 points from 6 matches and allowed only 2 goals the entire time. That's the kind of consistency that gets attention. Since Murat Yakin became manager, the mindset around this team has completely changed. They no longer step onto the field thinking they're underdogs against Europe's biggest countries. Now they expect to compete with anyone, and they've backed that up with results. At Euro 2020, they shocked France in one of the wildest games of the tournament before winning on penalties. Then at Euro 2024, they made another huge statement by eliminating defending champions Italy with an impressive all-around performance that showed exactly how far this squad has come. The foundation of this team is built around experienced leaders. Gregor Kobel has grown into one of Europe's top goalkeepers with Borussia Dortmund, known for his quick reactions and calm decision-making under pressure. Right in front of him, Manuel Akanji brings leadership, defensive strength and confidence on the ball after years of performing at the highest level of European football. I mean, Manuel Akanji's career says everything about his quality. He went from winning major trophies with Manchester City to continuing his success with Inter Milan. That's the kind of experience that gives Switzerland a huge boost whenever he steps onto the field. Then there's Granit Xhaka, the emotional heartbeat of this team and one of the biggest faces of modern Swiss football. His move surprised a lot of people. After leaving Bayer Leverkusen, he joined Sunderland, a club that had only recently earned promotion back to the Premier League. Many questioned the decision, but he wasted no time proving his value by lifting the team's level from the moment he arrived. Got a shot away, it was blocked, and now Granit Xhaka. It's deflected in. Xhaka brings intensity every single game. His competitiveness, toughness and leadership make him one of the most influential players in the squad. Despite everything he's achieved, many people still don't give him the credit he deserves. He's easily one of the most overlooked midfielders of his generation. But to really understand why this Switzerland team looks so confident and mentally resilient, you have to go back through football history. Their incredible defensive discipline didn't just appear overnight. It has roots that stretch back nearly a century. In the 1930s, Austrian coach Karl Rappen introduced one of football's biggest tactical breakthroughs while working in Switzerland. His system became known as the Verrou, or the Swiss Bolt, and it completely changed how teams thought about defending. At a time when most clubs lined up with an aggressive 2-3-5 formation, Rappen saw the game differently. Instead of leaving huge spaces at the back, he pulled the wide midfielders into deeper defensive roles and turned the 2 central defenders into dedicated man markers who closely tracked attackers across the pitch. It was a bold idea that gave his teams much more defensive control. The biggest innovation, though, was one extra player. Rappen introduced the verrouilleur, which translates to the door locker. This defender played behind the man markers and just in front of the goalkeeper, acting as a free-moving sweeper. Whenever an attacker slipped past the first line of defense, the sweeper was there to shut down the danger before it became a real threat. Today, that idea might seem simple, but back then it completely changed football. For the first time, a team was using something that looked very similar to a modern backline, with an extra layer of protection sitting behind the defenders. It made Switzerland incredibly difficult to break down and helped lay the foundation for many of the defensive systems that would shape football for decades. The famous Vero, or Swiss Bolt, was introduced to the wider football world at the 1934 World Cup in Italy. In their opening match in Milan, Switzerland stunned the Netherlands with a dramatic 3-2 victory. That result immediately caught everyone's attention and showed that this new tactical approach could compete on the biggest stage. Switzerland eventually lost 3-2 to Czechoslovakia in the quarterfinals, but by then the damage had already been done, in the best possible way. Karl Rappen's defensive system had put Swiss football on the international map, and the principles behind it became a major part of the country's football identity for many years. By the time the 1938 World Cup arrived in France, the system had become even more organised and effective. That tournament also delivered one of the most memorable chapters in Swiss football history. Switzerland faced Germany in the opening round, and the match carried enormous significance because of the political situation in Europe at the time. The first meeting finished 1-1 after a determined Swiss performance, forcing a replay just a few days later. The replay couldn't have started much worse. Germany stormed into a 2-0 lead within the opening 20 minutes, and it looks like Switzerland's tournament was slipping away. Almost everyone expected the result to be settled. But Switzerland had other plans. They mounted an incredible comeback, fighting back to claim one of the most famous victories in the nation's football history. Although their World Cup journey ended with a quarter-final defeat to Hungary, that unforgettable win over Germany became one of the defining moments in Swiss sporting history and remains a source of pride to this day. Even today, many fans still point to that era as the clearest example of Swiss resilience, discipline, and pure refusal to fold under pressure. It set the tone for how the national team would be viewed for generations. But after that strong 1930s foundation, things took a harsh turn in the 1960s. Switzerland completely fell off the pace at international level, crashing out in the group stage of both the 1962 and 1966 World Cups after losing every single match they played. These brothers were moving like Tottenham. The 1966 World Cup in England was especially brutal. Switzerland opened with a shocking 5-0 defeat to West Germany, looking totally overwhelmed from the very first whistle. The team looked lost, struggling to match the intensity and pace of top-level international football. And the results just kept getting worse from there. Again, think of them as the international Tottenham Hotspur, capable on paper, but collapsing under pressure when it mattered most. After that tournament, Switzerland completely vanished from the biggest stages. For nearly 3 decades, through the 1970s and 1980s, they failed to qualify for a single World Cup or European Championship. The identity was fading, confidence was gone, and Swiss football had almost disappeared from relevance on the international scene. But everything started to shift in 1992. That was when English manager Roy Hodgson took charge of the national team. He wasn't arriving as a global superstar coach, but what he did next completely changed the direction of Swiss football. He inherited a squad filled with talent, but also years of frustration and disappointment. One of his first major moves was total commitment to understanding the country and its players. He learned both German and French, so he could communicate directly with the squad and connect with the culture on a deeper level. That effort quickly earned him respect inside the dressing room. Hodgson then began modernizing the tactical approach, moving Switzerland away from the old sweeper-based setup and introducing a more compact 4-4-2 system focused on structure, discipline, and organization. The team became far more aggressive without the ball, much sharper in their positioning, and incredibly difficult to break through. Opponents started realizing quickly that Switzerland was no longer an easy target. Hodgson also introduced more modern tactical ideas like zonal marking and coordinated offside traps, which might sound basic today, but at the time they were advanced concepts that changed how the team defended. And the impact showed up fast. Switzerland powered through a brutal qualification group featuring Italy, Portugal, and Scotland, losing only once on their way to securing a place at the 1994 World Cup in the United States. That alone was a massive achievement, considering the level of competition they were up against. Their performances were so strong that Switzerland climbed all the way to third in the FIFA World Rankings in 1993, the highest ranking the country had ever reached in its history. That rise shocked a lot of people across European football. At the 1994 World Cup, Switzerland became one of the surprise packages of the entire tournament. One of their standout moments came against Romania, a side led by the legendary Gheorghe Hagi. Inside the massive Pontiac Silverdome in the United States, Switzerland delivered a brilliant attacking display and dismantled Romania 4-1 in a performance full of confidence and control. Switzerland eventually exited the tournament after losing to Spain in the round of 16, but by that point, the transformation was already complete. Roy Hodgson had modernized Swiss football at every level. Even more importantly, he helped lay the groundwork for a structured youth development system that would go on to produce generations of high-level Swiss talent in the years that followed. From 2006 onward, Switzerland quietly established themselves as one of the most consistent national teams in international football. They don't always get the spotlight like Germany, France, or Spain, but the numbers speak clearly. Since 2006, Switzerland have qualified for every single World Cup, a level of consistency only a small group of European nations can match. Over the years, Switzerland built a serious reputation for being ultra-organized, tactically disciplined, and mentally tough when the pressure hits in major tournaments. Opponents learned quickly that breaking them down was never going to be easy, no matter the talent gap on paper. The 2006 World Cup in Germany showed exactly what this new version of Switzerland looked like. They advanced through the group stage without conceding a single goal against France, Togo, and South Korea. That alone made people start paying attention to how solid this team had become. Then came one of the most bizarre exits in World Cup history. In the round of 16, Switzerland drew 0-0 with Ukraine after extra time, but what happened next was shocking. They lost on penalties after missing all 3 of their attempts, getting eliminated without ever conceding a single goal throughout the entire tournament from open play. It was the kind of stat line that almost feels unreal. To this day, Switzerland remain the only team in World Cup history to go home without conceding a goal from open play. Mikel Arteta would probably look at that record and be quietly impressed. Then came South Africa 2010, and one of the biggest shocks the World Cup has ever seen. Under legendary coach Ottmar Hitzfeld, Switzerland faced Spain in their opening match. Spain would go on to win the entire tournament and are widely considered one of the greatest international teams ever assembled. But Switzerland flipped the script completely. They pulled off a stunning 1-0 victory in a gritty, disciplined performance that caught the entire football world off guard. It wasn't flashy, but it was incredibly effective. People always talk about attacking football because it looks better on highlights. But Switzerland showed something different here. They defended like their lives depended on it, staying compact, focused, and impossible to break down for long stretches of the game. That defensive resilience carried into history. Switzerland set a world record by going 559 consecutive minutes without conceding a goal, a streak that highlighted just how structured and difficult they had become to play against. Then, at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, Switzerland once again proved they could handle pressure in tough groups. Xherdan Shaqiri emerged as the standout star, famously scoring a brilliant hat-trick against Honduras to push Switzerland into the knockout stage in style. Not only is this guy ridiculously built, like so muscular it almost looks like he has no neck, but he also had this strange habit of turning into a different level of player whenever he wore the Switzerland shirt. At club level, he was already solid, but internationally he seemed to unlock something extra, like a switch flipping the moment the tournament started. In the round of 16, Switzerland faced Argentina and pushed them all the way to extra time before finally going down 1-0 after a late Angel Di Maria strike. It was a brutal finish, but the performance showed they could hang with the absolute elite. Even in defeat, Switzerland proved they were no longer intimidated by the biggest nations in football. The 2018 World Cup in Russia added another intense chapter. Switzerland beat Serbia 2-1 in a match loaded with tension due to political and cultural history connected to several players. Granit Xhaka and Xherdan Shaqiri, both of Kosovar Albanian heritage, celebrated their goals with the double-headed eagle gesture linked to the Albanian flag. That celebration sparked global controversy and eventually led to FIFA fines. but the match itself became one of the most emotionally charged moments of the entire tournament. Then came Qatar 2022, and Switzerland once again showed their consistency on the big stage. They advanced from a difficult group and beat Cameroon 1-0 thanks to a goal from Embolo. And Embolo is there. That moment carried emotional weight because Embolo was born in Cameroon. Out of respect for his country of birth, he chose not to celebrate after scoring, which added another layer of meaning to the match. Switzerland then produced another chaotic thriller, beating Serbia 3-2 to secure qualification for the knockout rounds once again. But their journey ended on a painful note with a heavy 6-1 defeat to Portugal in the round of 16, one of the most difficult losses in their modern tournament history. Outside the World Cup, Switzerland also started making real noise in the Euros. At Euro 2020 under Vladimir Petkovic, they delivered one of the most unbelievable comebacks in international football against reigning world champions France. With just a minute left, Switzerland were trailing 3-1 and looked completely out of it, before somehow clawing their way back to 3-3 and forcing penalties in a dramatic turnaround. Then Jan Sommer delivered one of the defining moments of his career by saving Kylian, the dictator Mbappe's penalty, sending Switzerland into the quarterfinals of a European Championship for the very first time in their history. That moment instantly shifted how people viewed Swiss football, turning them from outsiders into serious contenders on the international stage. From there, the momentum didn't slow down. At Euro 2024, Murat Yakin's Switzerland kept proving they belonged among Europe's strongest sides. They went through the group stage unbeaten, even managing an impressive draw against hosts Germany in a high-pressure atmosphere. That result alone showed how far this team had come mentally and tactically. In the round of 16, Switzerland completely outplayed defending champions Italy in a performance that stunned a lot of observers across Europe. They controlled large parts of the match with confidence, structure and intensity, showing no fear of the occasion. Their journey eventually ended in the quarterfinals after a penalty shootout defeat to England, but the bigger picture was already clear. This wasn't a team just trying to survive tournaments anymore. They were competing to win them. Switzerland now looks like a perfectly balanced squad, blending experienced leaders with a new wave of young talent ready to explode onto the world stage. At the back, Gregor Kobel has stepped into the massive responsibility of replacing Jan Sommer following his international retirement in 2024. There were real questions about how Switzerland would cope without Sommer. He's been an exceptional goalkeeper for years. But Kobel has answered those doubts with confidence. The Borussia Dortmund shot stopper is already regarded as one of the top young goalkeepers in Europe. He's tall, commanding in the box, sharp in his reflexes, and remarkably calm under pressure. His presence gives the Swiss backline real security and control in key moments. Ahead of him stands Manuel Akanji, who has also been performing at a very high level for Inter Milan, bringing composure, experience, and defensive intelligence that keeps the whole structure steady. After lifting multiple trophies during his time at Manchester City, Manuel Akanji made a big switch in 2025, moving to Inter Milan and immediately stepping into a leadership role in their defense. It didn't take long for him to become one of the key figures at the back. The guy has everything you want in a modern centre-back: pace, strength, calmness under pressure, and a seriously high football IQ. He's incredibly comfortable playing out from the back even when teams press high and aggressively, and his positioning is a huge reason Switzerland stays so structurally solid defensively. When things get chaotic, he brings order. Then there's Granit Xhaka, the midfield maestro and emotional engine of this team. With over 140 appearances for Switzerland, he's become one of the most influential players in the nation's football history. His move to the Premier League with Sunderland shocked a lot of fans, but he didn't just settle in. He became the captain and heartbeat of the squad almost instantly. Even in his 30s, Xhaka is still performing at an extremely high level. For Switzerland, he does everything. He controls the tempo, dictates the rhythm of matches, and aggressively shields the defense. He's elite at closing down space, winning duels, and breaking up attacks. He protects that backline with serious intensity and awareness. And then he pushes the team forward too, driving transitions and leading with pure intensity and mentality. Up front, Breel Embolo remains Switzerland's main physical force in attack. The Monaco striker has also become something of a career mode favourite, but on the pitch, he's far more than that. He finished as Switzerland's top scorer during qualifying and remains one of the toughest forwards in Europe to handle physically. His strength, hold-up play and relentless pressing make him a crucial part of how this team attacks. He constantly battles defenders, creates space for teammates and gives Switzerland a reliable outlet during fast transitions. On the wing, Dan Ndoye has emerged as one of the most exciting players in the squad. After an impressive season with Bologna, he earned a move to Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, and his impact has been noticeable. His pace and direct dribbling make him a constant threat, especially in transition moments where he can turn a simple situation into something dangerous in seconds. This winger loves taking defenders on one-on-one and ripping defences apart with pure pace and swagger. During qualifying, he stood out as one of Switzerland's main creators, finishing among the top assist providers. His explosiveness adds a whole new threat to a team once seen as purely defensive. Then there's Johan Manzabi, one of the brightest young talents in Swiss football right now. The 20-year-old midfielder is already turning heads in Germany with Freiburg thanks to his creativity and technical class. He carries the ball with confidence, breaks lines with sharp passing, and can finish with either foot when chances come his way. Now, Switzerland step into a World Cup that's bigger than ever, with more teams, more games, and brand new rules shaking everything up. To really understand everything about this World Cup and what's coming next, you have to check out this guide right here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment on what you think will happen next.